Planetary Qualifiers are on the doorstep. Welcome to the podcast where we discuss how to outmaneuver your opponents. I'm Faith, and I'm here with his Dudeness and Jrod. We are starting off today talking about Planetary Qualifiers and the information we got on the stream on Wednesday. Jrod and his Dudeness, what are your guys' thoughts on what we heard?
Well, I'll start us off here, and I'll just say that I was very much disappointed that New England didn't get a Planetary Qualifier, and let's just say less upset that New England didn't get a Planetary Qualifier after what we saw. You know, the mat is fine and the art's cool. I think they could have done more with the art to make it look cooler and done more to it. It's probably better in person, I'll admit that. So I'm sure if I get to see one in person, it'll be pretty sweet. But then, the cards themselves, man, I really don't like these borders. I know some people like them. I know Dudeness is one who likes them. These colored borders, you're making borderless cards and then putting a border around them, and my brain hurts. It does. I'm sorry. And I want to be nice because FFG has done a lot of good stuff, but I have to be true to myself here, and these ain't it. There's not a single prize in this first kit where I'm like, yeah, I'm going there for that. I'm driving 6 hours to go fight for that. No shot. The Evazons will probably be somewhat expensive just because they're going to be rare and people will want to collect them. But outside of that, man, even the Judge promos, I don't know, every promo so far they've put out, other than the Maces when they first came out, have all been trash. And they haven't been worth anything. Any of the Judge promos from the first stuff, just not worth anything. And this is the first game that I've seen that has had Judge promos be worth almost nothing. And that's supposed to be your incentive to become a judge, is to, earn these cards that are typically pretty lucrative to earn. But apparently not anymore. So, Judas.
I tend to agree with Jrod. These prizes do not immediately spark joy. I do like the alt art on the Evazon, but these aren't. Unfortunately, they didn't pick high meta cards. They say they talk to the devs and they try to get their input on what they think might be highly played cards in the meta, and this is what they came back with. Clearly, they missed the mark a bit. I guess it is what it is. Everyone was hoping after a Mace Windu in the first set that we would eventually get another legendary, right? That's what everyone was waiting for. And hoping that the pricing in this would at least be one of the legendaries. But it ended up being a Dr. Evazon that these play sort of, maybe-ish.
To be fair, really. I think he's underplayed, to be fair.
I would probably agree with that. But, I don't know. It's
If he was a participation reward, I think I'd have been okay with that, honestly.
And since you just said participation reward, which is
true.
The legal authority is quote-unquote the participation card, but the kit is only getting 64 copies to a 128 player event. And doing some quick math, that means half the players at a full event are not getting one of these, despite the fact that they participated.
In fact, participated.
So that feels like FFG dropped the ball on this is all around, is what it feels like.
So I want to say, when it comes to set one, we said we liked both choosing the takedown as participation and the mace as the reward. I think it makes sense with the participation to do something with a single aspect. So because more people are gonna play that card. So takedowns, single aspect. I've been telling the guys that my thought was I think Tech would have been a really good choice for the participation, and then done something like a DJ as the placement card. It's a legendary like Mace was, but I'm disappointed in this package because I was a big proponent of saying, okay, we got this set to store showdown cards, and those also didn't spark joy or weren't exciting. And so, but my thought was, okay, they're the store showdown. That's the casual side. I'm okay with those prizes not being as big because I was like, oh, we're going to get good prizes for the competitive. And this is the competitive sphere, and these cards really aren't it for the competitive. So I'm a little disappointed because I was okay with the store showdown ones, assuming these ones would be better, assuming there'd be at least a legendary as the prize card.
Now,
And
I will say that this is season 0. This is the quote unquote test run, the test season to iron everything out. And, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it can get better from here, right? So we should provide criticism in a constructive way so that they hear it and can change the future. Hopefully maybe the set 3 ones aren't printed yet. And there's a chance to change that one or something. I don't know, but
well, that's something that I'd be interested to know is, when Josh left, what was there still to do? Like, were these decided when Josh, was this a Josh choice? Or was this Josh had left and then this was still on the table to decide? You know what I mean? Because everything that we know for sure that Josh had a hand in had been pretty good, like the Mace Windu and that kind of stuff, right? After that, we don't really know what, like, did Josh have a hand in this set's cards to choose from? You know what I mean? Like, we don't know, and I would like to know if that was the case, because if Josh was still here, then maybe he potentially could have added in more cards, or better cards rather, I should say, for competitive. And I agree with Faith. I think DJ and Tech could have been great cards. I could have also seen like a Rey legendary potentially. I know she's double aspect, that she's a popular card and didn't get a special promo like Kylo did, so she could have been a cool one to put in. But my big gripe again is just like is like the art on these are awesome on both Evazan and the Legal Authority. It's actually not my problem with the card. Like, the art themselves are actually really good. My problem is they make a borderless card and then they put a border on it. And I'm like, why? Everyone loves hyperspace cards. Please stop putting these borders on them. Like, we want the alternate cards. We like the cool other, like, the text boxes, all that stuff. Please stop putting borders on these cards. Please, I'm begging you. I know some people like it, but I feel like the majority of the people do not. I think they would like it a lot more if you just got rid of the borders on these cards.
I think maybe something to talk about that. I think that these borders are fine in the OP packs. I mean, I know you might disagree, but with that, they're not prize cards. They're not something that's like something you're chasing after. Those are cards that you get for participating. So I'm fine with them there. I don't mind the borders. I'm actually one of the weirdos that likes the regular frames and borders, so I don't care particularly. But I can appreciate the concern that you don't like the borders, and that I've heard that from a few people.
Well, because it depends. Like, so here's the thing on the Evazan art here. So I look at it, like, so his background is already the same color as the border, right? So it kind of all blends in, and it actually looks decent on the Evazan one. But like when you go to Legal Authority, it's got blue, and it's got this green ugly border, like messing with the beautiful art that is them out in space with these 3 awesome ships. You got 2 X-wings and the Naboo starfighter there. Like, that art is awesome. That's what I want to see. That's what I want. Like, the border on that card is actually taking away from the art, and I don't want that. Like this game from set 1 to like now, the art has really improved a lot, and I want to see the art. That's why we have it there, right? Like, the point of the card is to show off the art and the artist's hard work, and I want to see that more. Get rid of these ugly borders, man. Please, I'm begging, please.
All right, let's get the opposite side. Dudeness, what do you think of these borders on these cards?
I mean, I think they're fine. They don't really bother me that much, but I mean, I agree. They probably could be better without the borders.
Got him. Sold him on it for the podcast. He said I like the borders, and now he's sold on not having them. Let's go.
So, like, I mean, if you put on it, I mean, he's not wrong. Like, if you take the Legal Authority and you just take off that green border, is the card just better? Probably, actually. So, I mean, I guess it is what it is, but...
So we're talking about this is all about the prize cards, yet that's not the only thing that we heard was going to be a prize for going in the Planetary Qualifiers. We also found out that if you are in the top 4, you get an initiative token, which on the one side is Star Wars Unlimited with some stars in the background, and on the other side is the logo for their OP model with that changes based on the level of event you're at. So it looks like there's a circle in the middle, and then there's 8 triangles around it. And on this one, there's 2 triangles that are colored in white, with the circle colored in white. And then you can see the other 4 aren't colored in. So they kind of said, as the events get higher, more of those triangles will get filled in. What are your guys' thoughts of the initiative token for the top 4?
I don't have a big strong opinion either way. I think it's fine. I think it would be cool if it said somewhere like top 4 Planetary Qualifier or something like that, just to like, say what it's for. But other than that, it's not a massive, hit or miss for me.
I mean, it seems cool, and maybe it'll only ever be for top 4 ever or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe instead of having top 4 on it, it's just implied by the fact of if they always do it top 4, then that person was top 4 by getting the thing.
Right.
To that same sentiment there, then the mat shouldn't say champion because it's for the champion because there's only one mat.
We haven't got that far yet. We're getting that later.
Yeah, but
But I'm just making a point now for later.
So since Jrod was so eager about talking about it, they also revealed that if you win the event, you can get a mat with the cover art, I guess you could call it, of the set. So for this one, it's got Maul, Afra, Hut, Forlorn, Cad.
You mean Jabba?
And what did I say? I said Hut. Hut, Jabba the Hutt. So it's got...
We're currently recording on Thursday night football time right now, where my Patriots playing. So hike, let's go.
So there's that as the art of the mat, and then it's got the logo that we just talked about in the top corner with Champion on it and Star Wars Unlimited, and then the name of the set with the Planetary Qualifier on it as well. So going to the top 4 initiative counter, I kind of think it's meh personally. Like I'm only going to use one initiative token. I don't see any big flex to want to use that. Other people will, though. I'm in the minority there, and I get that. I'm definitely a no frills kind of player, so I'm sure some people will enjoy the initiative counter. For me, it's fine, but it's not something I need. As for the mat, what do you guys think of the mat itself for winning?
I think it's the best thing in the kit, if I'm being honest. But it's fine. I think they could have done a little bit more to make it a little spicier, but I get they're just kind of using that art from the for the set. But I don't know. I think they could have done an alternate one for this to have a whole different art for just the mat, like because this was on like the pre-release kit, all the box art. It's like I don't know, like do similar but different art for this. You know what I mean? Like let's get creative. Let's make people really want this stuff. But man, this is like step 1 into competitive. So if you did your job with Store Showdowns, try to convert people into competitive, and you go to this event and this is what they have to win, man, like I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna move on. Like,
So tell me though, do you not want this for set 3? Do you not want the mat that has Ventress and Anakin, Droideka? Just knowing that you like that art.
Here's the problem, right? Is like that is based on the fact that that's my favorite era. So yeah, like I would definitely want one of those mats for sure. But it's because it's my favorite era. Now I would still prefer it to be an alternate art from what it is. Like same character, same thing, but just have it be its own art for just the mat, because then it would make it better. Now, granted, like we don't know what the higher events are going to have, so maybe we'll see some stuff there, and that's why this is just a base art. And I imagine that's some of like the why they're holding back a bit on maybe some better art they might have. So I'll hold judgment on that a little bit, because like we don't know what some of like, because this is obviously only 1 pip out of 4 on their competitive modes, right, according to the mat. So let's see what 2, 3, and 4 have to offer. Maybe that's where the bangers are going to be,
Sure, that's a good point.
But if I had one critique for everything we just quickly talked about, I would say even Store Showdown stuff, right? Because that was also not good. Just put the good removal spells. Like the devs know what the good removal spells are. Make those like the like
participation prize.
Yes, thank you. Correct. Yeah.
I think a nice participation prize this set would have been the Hot Shot Blaster instead of the Legal Authority.
Not
that would have been cool, because it's neutral.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to play. It's a banger of a card. Love that card.
For the Store Showdown, I would have liked Daring Raid as the participation card.
That would have been great, dude. Yeah, Daring Raid would have been sweet.
Like you could do Fell, but Fell is so much like Takedown from the set 1/1.
Right.
I think you want to change the color up, and I think Daring Raid's the perfect option for that.
Yeah, Daring Raid would be perfect. I agree.
I mean, FFG, if you want some help with this, hit us up in the DMs. let us know. We'll tell you which cards you should put. You could have even done Mystic Reflection, even though I didn't see a ton of play for Store Showdown. It's still got an awesome art on that. I would have loved to have seen that.
Sweet art. One of the better arts of the set, honestly. I love the
Yeah.
art on that card.
Like Top Target could have been a good one because people are playing a lot of that card for aggro decks and whatnot. Like, I don't know. Like, there was just a lot of good options that I think we could have gotten. Like, Palp's Return's a cool one. I think we could have gotten for one of these, as a good card. I don't know. It's
Wrecker or Maul were pretty easy choices.
So I think
Done.
Maul might be a future thing, which is why we didn't see him. But if he's not, then I 1,000% agree. He 110% should have been Star Showdown. This is the card, and I guarantee you, if you had an alternate art Maul for Star Showdown, people would be flocking to those. Just you heard it here first. That should have been the card.
So I do want to say that I think that if they're ever going to, we're kind of all in agreement that it's more of a miss for this set. We really like set one. This one's a miss. On the plus side, this is probably the best time for them to have a miss, just because we have a small window of planetary qualifiers, and Twilight is right around the corner right afterwards. So there's only kind of a month of this. One thing that is interesting in it all as well is that since there's only of these cards, these champion playmats, there's only going to be 30 of these champion playmats. There's only going to be 30 Dr. Everson champion cards. So the population is going to be pretty small on them. Maybe plus or minus a few. I'm sure they made some extras, and they mentioned that they're going to have a planetary qualifier and an internal FFG planetary qualifier. So they'll probably be 32 or I don't know, something, but 30 public of these cards. That's just an interesting thing.
Right, they're going to be scarce, so that fact in and of itself might mean that they're worth a decent amount, at least at the start. But just compared to set one, you have Mace Windu was the top prize, and Mace Windu is a pretty iconic character. Mace Windu is some people's favorite characters. There was a dude in the set one during one of the showdowns. He's playing it. He's trying to get all the Mace Windus because that's his favorite character, right? Then you get to set two here, and you have Unrefusable Offer, which just immediately just sparked a zero amount of joy to everybody.
Which would have been a reason for DJ, as the champion card this set for the planetary, because then it would connect with the Store Showdown as well.
But even then, DJ doesn't spark. DJ is nobody's favorite character. Dr. Evazan is nobody's favorite character, right? They could have pulled from a somewhat iconic character to have somewhat amount of joy. Nobody is oh yeah, Dr. Evazan, that's a banger of a let's go get. Nobody. That's where the miss is, because to start off with Mace Windu and have such high expectations, and then it's just straight downhill from there.
Yeah, why wasn't Mando one of these? Just honestly, if I'm thinking about what Dudeness just said, why wasn't Mando the card? He's not that playable, so he's kind of like Mace was, right? He's someone's favorite character.
Would have been a banger choice for the exact reasons that Jrod. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, finish.
No, you're good. No, go ahead. Good. Go.
Oh, I mean, just what you're saying, the Mandalorian, that sparks joy for people, right? Somebody is the Mandalorian. There's a guy in my locals that keeps trying to make a Mandalorian deck where he has a Mandalorian. The sleeves, the box, even bought a custom Mandalorian mat off of the interwebs. That's pretty sweet. The dude loves Mando, right? That's his favorite character.
And it would also could go with the Grogu promo that they have from the events. So then you'd have both of them as kind of the alternate arts. Could be interesting. Sorry, I wasn't when I mentioned the DJ part. When I mentioned the DJ part, I didn't mean to say he's iconic. I meant more it would actually kind of work with the Store Showdown Unrefusable Offer because he's in that art.
Right. There's at least a connection there, right?
Yeah. We could have had Crate Dragon 2 as a single aspect card.
Crate Dragon would have been a banger of a participation card. Everybody would be oh, cool, Crate Dragon. Even that, it's not necessarily someone's favorite character, but a big, fat, beefy dude just sparks joy.
He's a good competitive card, and he's a good casual card. He's a 9-cost 10/10, and people are oh, big stats. Ooh, I like to put it in my deck.
Exactly. Timmy's love him, and even some Spikes can love him.
He actually would have been, in my opinion, the single perfect card for Store Showdown, because you would have potentially convinced some casual players oh, I kind of want that alternate art Crate Dragon. people who don't go out and buy a box. They just go and maybe draft a couple of times and maybe get some singles. Like people who don't spend a ton of money, you could probably convince them to go try and put a deck together to go try and earn some crate dragons at their store showdown and try to get them more competitive and more into the game. Like, if that's truly what that is, then your store showdown stuff should be some of the best, like, cards to want to get casual players into competitive. Like, and I think Crate Dragon could have been that card for store showdowns, if I'm being honest. If I'm thinking about that more in depth now, like, I absolutely would have just chosen Crate Dragon. And not because it's a legendary, like, I don't care if it was an uncommon or a common. That card itself is just such a cool card in the lore of Star Wars. Like, people know what it is now because of Mando, and like, I think that Crate Dragon would have been the perfect card.
So looking at Mace as a promo card, one thing that's interesting is he does connect with set 3. So we are using him now. Sorry, we can use him more. I mean, being like, because he's a Republic card. We'll have to see how it comes out, but especially in his art, in that he's destroying droids. So it kind of makes sense that in this set he might be actually pretty decent. So we'll have to see what these cards will have to do in the future. But we did get some more cards for set 3. Was there any of them that stood out for you guys in this recent week?
I mean, there were a few of them, actually.
Where did we end off on spoilers real quick? Was it Masamito was the last one we talked about? Or was there other ones, like, because, like, was Kit involved in last week's? I forget.
We just, Masamito was the last card that we talked about last week.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
I mean, the most recent card we have of as of this recording that I think is really cool and combos with the new leader that was just spoiled today, which we'll get to after. On the Doorstep, the name of this episode. Hey, look at that. It's a 4-cost cunning villainy supply event that says create 3 battle droid tokens and ready them. So this immediately, it's an aggro card. You get a little bit of damage in as soon as you ready them. Gives you fodder for exploit, if that's your thing. It somehow turns on coordinate if you have some neutral coordinate units in your villainy deck. What immediately I thought of was if you have a deployed IG-88 and give all of your units raid 1, well, now these are all attacking for 2. That's 6. That's pretty cool. There's the one guy Kraken. Right, he's if you attack, your token units get +1/+1. You can attack with him and then play these, and then you got 3 ready 2/2s, bro. Like, I mean, this card immediately just sparked all kinds of joy, and I love the fire of the battle droids just blasting away. It's pretty cool.
I saw his card and I immediately pinged Dudeness, and I was like, "Oh, Dudeness cards!"
Right up, Dudeness card. Like, yellow villain aggro is. They're trying to make it work. Like, yellow villain droid separatist is definitely going to be a thing that I'll be exploring early on when we get all the cards.
So one thing that to talk about when you mentioned coordinate, there are going to be neutral cards with coordinate. We got one that probably someone's going to talk about in this episode. But the thing of creating 3 of them is nice, is your opponent has 1 action, and they'll probably be able to take out one of those droids, but not probably 2 of them in 1 action. And so if you play this on turn 1 and you had that coordinate person already on the field, now you've got 4 units and they can't get rid of your coordinate in their 1 action. We'll see if there's more cards that remove more than one thing, but minus that, the coordinate will be pretty set.
I should also mention that this card is a common, so this is a pretty solid draft card, most likely, because it combos well with the yellow villain leader that we got previewed today, Jango Fett, Concealing the Conspiracy. And his leader side says, when a friendly unit deals damage to an enemy unit, you may exhaust this leader, and if you do, exhaust that enemy unit. So this has obvious synergy with the card we just talked about. On the Doorstep, you can trade in one of those ready 1/1 tokens and exhaust one of your dudes. Obviously, it takes a couple turns. It's not that efficient, but it's something you can do. But then his unit side flips for 5 resources, and he deploys as a 3/7. Not quite 4/7 like Boba Fett critically, but he says when a friendly unit deals damage to an enemy unit, you may exhaust that unit. the immediate thing that people jumped to was overwhelming barrage. If you barrage on this guy, he's technically dealing damage to that, so you can ping off a bunch of dudes and have a mass exhaust effect. That immediately just feels bad, because why wouldn't you just want to kill a unit? More likely, you're going to kill the one unit and then have a damage or two left over and use that to exhaust a dude or two, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we're planning on, like, I'm going to do 1 to 8 units. It's like, no, I'm going to kill something that I want to kill and then exhaust a bunch of other things so I can try to outrace you or something like that.
Right. He feels a bit more control-oriented, tempo-focused. Like he's trying to just exhaust your dudes, but most of the leaders that we've seen so far that are focusing on exhausting dudes have not been prevalent in the meta. We're talking about Thrawn. We're talking about the Mandalorian. Neither of these dudes are seeing much play. So it's hard to say if Jango Fett will also see much play, but he is common. So this is the guy you're going to see for draft, most likely, if you're playing these colors. And so you have to evaluate them with those cards too as well. Sorry, Feth, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just say, for anyone that was guessing the leaders, which we were doing in our Discord, and that's a shameless plug for our Discord, you can join that for free on the Discordography, and we'll try to link that in the description below. They were doing a contest of who can guess, and I think this would probably, I wasn't in it, I forgot to enter it in time, but I think Jango makes the most sense here because Fire Spray mentions him, and now it's an easy in-aspect inclusion to have it entered ready.
Correct. Like with that templating originally on Fire Spray saying Jango or Boba Fett as a unit or leader, this basically keyed us all into, hey, we're probably going to see Jango Fett as a leader, and here we go, the first time we can see him, boom, yellow villain. Unfortunately, not as good as Boba Fett. That's the initial comparison. 3/7 versus 4/7. The other ability to generate resources just seems better than just exhausting your opponent's units, but it is what it is.
Jrod, what are your thoughts of Jango Fett?
I think his art's really bad. But yeah, I mean, the card's fine. I think it's a draft leader, and he'll be fine if you want to, do that.
Right.
But also, him being Underworld Bounty Hunter doesn't fit with anything in the theme. So he's a common, which is supposed to be a draft leader, but then he's Underworld Bounty Hunter, which I think is going to take him away from being relevant in draft because he doesn't mesh well with what the draft wants to do.
Well, I mean, there is another card that I want to highlight real quick: the P-38 Starfighter, the Elite P-38 Starfighter, I should say, which is another yellow villain common, 3-cost, 3/2 space vehicle. That when played, when defeated, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. So this has obvious synergy with Jango Fett here at the common slot, because you can play this boy, immediately exhaust a dude with his when played. That could even get you within range to then trade with the Starfighter to trigger the when defeated, to ping something else, to exhaust another unit on the following turn. So he definitely is going to have support at already on the doorstep, and that Elite Starfighter somewhat synergized with Jango Fett, just straight up.
Yeah, I think it's hard to evaluate all the draft limited possibilities when we only have so much of the set revealed. I would say I actually kind of like the Jango art, and I'm definitely in the minority there. I think it's not as terrible as people think, but that's okay. Is there any cards that stood out for you, Jrod, from this week?
Yeah, I'm also going to bring up a leader first. I think excited for him, but hesitantly, because he's a 7-drop leader. It's Mace Windu. He is an aggression heroism. He is a Force Jedi Republic, which matters. Action 1 and exhaust a leader, deal 1 damage to a damaged enemy unit. Then if it has 5 or more damage on it, deal 1 damage to it. I think people are undervaluing that with how good ambush is. He basically counters ambush. So when they ambush into one of your units to take it out, he then gets to potentially defeat that unit with the extra damage he gets to do for 1. So I think that'll matter more than people think. I think it's actually easier to trigger than Darth Vader's 1 damage. And being able to potentially deal 2 damage, something that has more, for example, Vader unit comes in and kills something that might have 5 attack and live with 2 HP left. Mace Windu can just take it out for 1 resource and exhaust. So I think is pretty massive and will be useful throughout the game. And then his flip side, he deploys at 7, like I had mentioned. He is a 5/8, which is basically the same as Darth Vader. And then it says, when deployed, deal 2 damage to each damaged enemy unit. So, I think that it's basically a mini board wipe, and we're already getting other things that deal damage across the board. So we also already have Bombing Run, which I imagine will see a lot more play in this set. And then we have another card that I'm not going to go into too much detail about, but it's a 3-cost aggression card. Bloodsport, deals 2 damage to each ground unit. So a lot of effects like that, where I think that card might see some play because it's actually relatively cheap compared to Bombing Run, but it can only hit ground units. So it'll be interesting. But I just think Mace has a lot of upside potential to him. I just don't know if 7's going to be too slow. I'd already been a big fan of aggression, vigilance, terrorism, control / mid-range. And Mace might end up being a good leader for that as well. So I'm interested to see what happens. Also a force user, so that's pretty good too. So I
am interested. I'm just cutting everyone off today. I am interested in the pushing of the colors and the aspects. The aspects are like where aggression, heroism was more aggro, Mace being a more control leader. Just is nice. It's nice to see a different play style in that aspect pairing.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what kind of decks people can put together with Mace and stuff like that. He'll probably be one of the first leaders I try. Admittedly, whenever we see Rex, I'm hoping this week that I'll probably try him first. I'm hoping he's good, but we'll never. We don't know. Maybe it should be a draft leader, but I'm going to force him and make him work. He'll at least be my twin son's leader with Ahsoka at minimum. So
it is important to note that Mace is the first rare leader we've seen.
True.
Although he doesn't seem like, usually rare leaders are built around some sort of gimmick, it kind of feels like, or they're trying to go to a hardcore strategy. He's just sort of like generically, you got some damaged dudes, deal some damage to him, which makes me feel like he won't be all that bad in draft because your opponent are most likely going to be trading into your units if they can do it, and now this guy punishes that. And so this is one of the rare leader that I feel actually has some decent usage in a draft format.
Yeah, and I'll quickly say that people thought Tarkin Town wasn't going to be that good when it was initially revealed before people really got their hands on it. And then quickly, because they were like, oh, I have to deal 3 damage to a damage unit. That's so hard. It's going to be such situational. And then the way this game plays, it happens a lot more than you realize. So Mace's ability is going to be able to trigger, I would imagine, most turns. And you'll have to decide if it's worth it, obviously, because it's going to cost you a resource. I think if it was free, I think he'd be Banana Lands. So,
free pings would be ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, it's still conditional ping because it has to have damage on it, but still. True.
No, but pretty reasonable in draft still, I think, for a rare.
100%.
We do also have a weapon for Mace Windu. And what are your guys' thoughts on Mace Windu's lightsaber, which is a 2-cost upgrade? That's heroism, aggression, attached to a non-vehicle unit. Give +2/+2, and when played, if attached unit is Mace Windu, draw 2 cards.
This is the clear push to make Red go for more in-game. Go for the later game instead of pushing for the early game and try to aggro people down. This is giving you some card advantage later on if you need it to help try to close out a game. Whether or not it actually sees play, we'll see. Aggro could use it just because it's a 2-cost 2/2 upgrade that actually has the heroism aspect, so it won't hurt for a cause, I believe in.
I mean, this card to me just says mid-range and control decks. When I flip my Mace Windu, you have to worry about me drawing 2 cards with this card, basically. I don't think it's a 3 of any decks off rip. I think it's at best a sideboard card. So we'll see. But also investing 2 more into a 7-drop leader is tough with things like Rival Fall rolling around. So I'm a little hesitant. And it's not great on Mace Windu unit, in my opinion, because he usually doesn't last to the next turn where you could play it on him. At least the current one that we have. So I'm hesitant to say, because usually I think Luke's lightsaber was pretty decent because Luke and the unit and the leader were both decent to put it on. because also it healed them and all that kind of stuff. But like Vader's saber didn't see a ton of play, but like Luke's saber was good enough because it healed and shielded them. So I don't think that this one will see a lot of play. Maybe Twin Sons, it seems really good, to be fair, like if you're playing in Twin Sons. I'm now the Twin Sons podcaster, apparently. But yeah. So
the real question that this brings up for me is that which other named lightsabers are we going to see in the set?
Yoder?
I feel like Anakin's is a pretty slam dunk.
Kenobi's?
But I mean, there's a lot of different.
Well, we already have
choose from
Vader's though, so I would say that we're less likely to see Anakin's if we already have Vader's.
No, they're different. They're different. They're viewed differently. They're different people, and so we'll get different cards for them.
Yeah, but technically we already have Anakin's because it went to Luke. If we're being specific, so Luke's lightsaber is Anakin's lightsaber. It's so facto we already have Anakin's lightsaber.
They could have the same name. They won't. They're going to be different, and we will get an Anakin's lightsaber at some point. Whether it's in the set, I'm unsure. I do hope we do get, like in the first set, we had a heroism lightsaber, so we had a villainy lightsaber as well, being Jedi lightsaber and Fallen lightsaber. So since we have maces, I imagine we are going to get a villainy one. I'm not sure which one that will be. Maybe it'll
Dooku's?
be. I'm thinking Dooku a green heroism Dooku one. The only problem, so you mentioned the Luke one versus the Vader one. Vader in set 1 as a hero was red villainy, and in his unit was command villainy. So there is a difference in color there, where Luke was both vigilance heroism.
Cool.
Same with Mace. Mace is unit and leader are both aggression heroism. So that kind of works out well, where if it's Dooku, his unit is villainy vigilance, and his leader is command villainy. So it'll be kind of like a little bit less good or less easy to connect the two.
That's fair. His is just such a cool lightsaber. It's like very iconic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why I was kind of saying his.
No, that's fair. That makes sense. Moving on, for me, one of the things that I think I am most excited for when every set comes out is the bases.
Here we go.
It was the bases. And I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed there was no base in set 2. And there are no rare bases. We did get our new one, Pow City. We are missing one of the last last rare bases for the set. Yes, the most important one. And I do not love Pow City. It's the opposite of the yellow one. So the yellow one gave each leader you control +1/+0. Pow City gives each leader unit you control +0/+1. I am not as excited about this. Some people were mentioning that it can take a leader out of takedown range.
Takedown, force choke range,
I guess an open fire range, or like IG out of open fire range, something like that.
Out of open fire range, but if you have, let's say, a leader with Sentinel, let's say like an Obi-Wan Kenobi, perhaps.
Yeah, but it still dies a rival's fall.
Listen, that's fine, but you get a little extra bump. I don't think this card is as bad as people thought at first. I think it's okay-ish. Will it see a lot of play? I'll wait and see. But since this card is the opposite of the other card, I'm thinking the red base is just going to give us one clone trooper token.
That's a good prediction. I like that.
Interesting. So honestly, I hadn't considered this in a blue Sabine deck. Because if your one way to really win with her is to keep her alive and then put a Darksaber on her, because obviously if it's going on her, you can forget about the aspect penalty, so you can still play it in a blue Sabine. So that could be a good plan to be hey, I'm gonna load up Sabine, and she's a 2/6 now, so she can't be taken down right away. That could be an interesting dynamic to the game.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. We'll have to see what it does. I just think the yellow one adds more play in my mind. The yellow and the blue one were the two that I was most interested about, because for me, their 25 health epic action bases from set 1 sparked the least joy for me. The blue one, at least, Security Complex, did at least have some combos, like with a Grand Inquisitor being able to shield the guy that way, or even with Gar Saxon, things that make your upgraded units better. So I'm less excited for this one than the yellow one, but we'll see how it plays out. However, for me, the bases are always the most exciting part. Base.
Yeah, I would say that most of these bases are actually for aggro decks because none of them seem to give anything that I would think a control deck would want for losing HP. So that's something to consider. Like, obviously, Pow City, while it's giving you defense, which is typically a more control aspect, because you're losing 4 HP for one stat of HP on your leader. I don't think even using Obi-Wan Kenobi, it would make him a 4/8. I don't think that's going to matter much in the grand scheme of things. I could be wrong in that instance, but then you're also in double blue, so that's a little awkward right now. We haven't.
Yeah, you are wrong, bro.
Okay.
I do want to mention one final card that Dudeness I know loves, which is Twice the Pride.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Do you know you can talk about it? I just wanted to really lead you into it.
Because Twice the Pride is a double aggression, which is honestly just the best double combination out there. And it is a 2-cost upgrade. When played, deal 2 damage to attached unit, and it gives that unit +4/+0. Now, the most important thing to me for this card is it does not say a non-vehicle unit. I really want to attach this into a dude in space that's uncontested and letting him swing away. I'm not sure how actually good this will end up being, but I will try to make it good because 4 attack for 2 resources sparks a lot of joy. And if you could somehow put this on a unit with grit, then now you're getting even more value and it's super incredible.
Well, let's also not forget this is a 2-cost removal spell because you can attach to enemy units.
That is a great point, Face. What a
I didn't even realize that.
Like this is a versatile card that can kill off a 2 health unit. What a legend! And also the card named Twice the Pride implies the existence of its counterpart.
Oh, were you waiting for me?
Yeah, someone else to fill in.
I forgot what the line is again. It's like double the money. Show me the money.
Wow, way to ruin.
Anyways, but yeah. So, and another banger art by Amelia Hutt, in my opinion. So,
double the fall.
Thank you.
Got him. In case you guys don't know what just happened there, Twice the Pride, double the fall is a quote from the movie this is from.
Because the devs have shown a willingness to lean into the memes and quotes from the movies, which I love. I love that they put that on events and upgrades and stuff.
Agreed.
Any final thoughts on any spoilers?
I can't wait for more, honestly. The set is going to be sweet.
Oh, yeah, I want to mention one more before we head out here.
Okay, what is it?
All right. It's a 6-drop ground unit, Force Jedi Republic, aggression only, 7/6 Saboteur, coordinate on attack. You may deal 3 damage to a ground unit. And it's your boy Kit Fisto. I'm a little weirded out that he's neutral. I don't know if we're leaning into the fact that the Jedi were as perceived during the war as heroes, but in grand scheme of things, they didn't always do hero actions. So I wonder if we're kind of leaning into that a bit. That's why he's not a hero unit, but 7/6 for 6 is a good stat line. Obviously, if you're running ECL, this card is Banana Land, but I don't even think you need ECL with this card because he's just a big threat that can take out leaders, which is pretty massive. That 7 attack is I think one of the larger attacks on a unit in the game for 6. Like even Maul is 7, right? For Maul to get 7/6. So
Wrecker is the other 6-cost 7/6.
True.
Yes.
Okay, fair. So, like Young Han for 5 playing a 7/4 that is basically something that you have to kill.
Right.
Is pretty massive. So
Kit Fisto with leader Maul in this set, pretty fun. He's 7/6 Overwhelm Saboteur.
Yep, that as well.
That seems pretty good. I do think that the not heroic aspect is more of a game design decision than a lore design decision. I think they're we wanted Jedis, especially with General's Blade, wanting to give Jedis to villains to use, but saying that we can't put the villainy aspect on them. At least putting them neutral allows them to have some kind of play with that.
Right.
Yeah, I guess to be fair too, like if they didn't make them neutral, then all of the Force users would be in heroism because of the fact that there's just all the Jedi and only 2 Sith.
Yeah.
I guess technically 3 because Dooku and Maul and Palp.
And Ventress.
Oh yeah, true, and Ventress. So there's a couple more, but there's only there's like maybe like 5, and I guess is what's to say, Asajj is Force, right, as well?
Yes.
Yes, he is. So, but that's really it for the Force users, I believe. I'm going to say that, and I'm going to be wrong. Someone's going to correct me in the comments already. I can feel it, but yeah. So I guess that makes a little more sense to have them neutral as well for like draft purposes, I'm sure as well, which is kind of important. Like he's a slam dunk first pick for me in draft, by the way. Like I think he's pretty good.
He does seem pretty first pickable, and then with the plan of just trying to turn on coordinate all the time and forever.
Yeah.
Like this is a card that's like, okay, it's neutral, has coordinate on it, and maybe you can get some utility out of going into villainy, but it feels like it's gonna make you lean into heroism so that you can get other coordinate, so that you're getting, double value or something like that.
Just a slight point on the art. It is interesting. The droids that are behind Kit, it's like, are they firing with him or against Kit? That's the question we'll leave you with on this pod. So thank you for tuning into our episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all the YouTube things, and check out our Discord. We'll see you next time on Outmaneuver.
Yep, cheers, y'all.
Double the fall.